Here we are, rolling along on this Wednesday. Talking a lot of football today. We'll slide this nugget in before we bring in Dungey. John Rothstein tweeting, Syracuse's Judah Mintz is available for tonight's exhibition game against St. Rose per a school spokesman. Well, an answer to a question. How about that? Looking forward to hopefully available means he's going to play. Actually, putting eyes on Judah this season. So a little hoops for tonight exhibition against St. Rose. Tip time 7 o'clock in the Dome. But it is not Friday, but there's a game on Friday, so we can't talk to Eric before the game. We're talking to Eric after the game. You get the whole thing. We got Eric Dungey on right now here on a Wednesday. Eric, welcome in. And who knew at the time our post-game show made a little bit of a stir there over the course of the last few days. What kind of reaction have you gotten the last few days out there on the West Coast?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it caused a little bit of a stir. I think some of what I said was misinterpreted. And obviously reading an article, you don't take away from the fact that obviously I'm the biggest Syracuse fan there is. And I think some of the players thought I was coming at them. That wasn't the case. I saw Marla Wax and Caleb Ogochukwu, they had a little thing going. I'm like, guys, I'm not coming at you. This has nothing to do with what you're doing. I was just saying, and it's what we've talked about for the past 4 weeks. It's the punting when we're down 3 or 4 scores. It's the kicking a field goal down 20 or 30. And it's the things like that that's out of the player's control. So I don't want to get that misinterpreted there. And I think as long as it lights a fire underneath this team, then hey, by all means. But I think Babers might be depicting me as a little villain there, but that's not the case at all. Obviously I love Syracuse more than anything, and still got a lot of love for Babers. That's not anything wrong. It was just the accountability that over the past 4 weeks has been needed to be called out, and I think I was the one to do it, and it's what's been on everyone's mind. So.
Yeah, and I think, going into what you said after the game, and, I was with you every step of the way on it, Eric, that and Dino said this in his press conference on Monday, talking about you and what you said, that you are the toughest competitor that he's ever had. I think that goes into it, right, Eric? Like, you'd run through a wall in both directions to try to win a football game after it comes to it. I think that, more than anything, right, is what's driving you bonkers about watching these recent games.
Yeah, no, definitely. And again, I think I got to level set it that I want to see Syracuse do well. I want to see them, win all the games they do and play up to the standard that we hold them to. And it's no disrespect to players or anything like that. That's never the case, because obviously I've been in their shoes. I've been, blood, sweat, and tears in the same locker room and on the same field as they have. So that's never to get it twisted there. But at the same time, it is something needs to change, and they know that. It's not like it's a an elephant in the room, and they can see that. So I'm hoping that they come out this week and they play with that fiery passion. Like I said, if it lights a fire under their butts, then by all means, I'll say something again next week as long as we start winning.
Yeah, and as you said, hey, you hate BC, so you'll be fired up coming up on Friday night. That's for sure. And you know what? I was talking to the guys yesterday at the weekly media session. We just played some from Jack Stonehouse, and we had Terry Lockett on the show yesterday. And standing around listening to Garrett Schrader and some of the other guys talk, like, some of the teams, like when the season's going bad, and you guys don't want to do that stuff and whatever, those things can be like a miserable slog at that point of the year. It's not the sense I got standing there yesterday. I don't know what to read into what people say Tuesday of how they're going to play on Friday, but I didn't get the sense that they were like out on it yet, which I guess has to be good. But I feel we'll know, right, Eric? Like, if this team's still bought in, like, we'll be able to watch a few series on Friday night and see it pretty early in the game.
Again, I just know they're going to come out with some stuff, and that's all we want to see. And sometimes you need that. You need a little reset. And I think Virginia Tech was just the frustrating point about it, because the past 3 weeks before that, the Florida State, UNC, Clemson, that's a given. We knew those were going to be tough games, but Virginia Tech was one that, we thought it was going to be close, but we thought we were going to be on the winning side, and it just went the total polar opposite. So it's frustrating as a fan base, and also as alum to watch that and know that your team from the first 4 games of the season should not be playing like that. And they know that, again, it's just kind of preaching to the choir. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Boston College. I'm excited to see, Syracuse back at home, and they got a lot of frustration to take out, and I'm excited to see them do that.
Schrader used a term yesterday, which I kind of enjoyed. I don't think I'd heard him use this term before. He said the offense needs some fire starters, guys that are going to literally get it going themselves. And he's talking about it himself, I think, in many ways. He said, I need to use my legs more, get out and make things happen. When you look at this offense right now, Eric, who can't, obviously Garrett is the lead guy, but, who can be that guy? Who can step up right now and, light a fire, do something, and make something happen on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, and you have all the assets. I mean, Damian Alford, you can't teach size. Babers always said you can't teach size, and he's got it, and he's got great hands. And it's just utilizing your players to the best of their abilities. I mean, he's a jump ball kind of guy. If you got to throw back shoulder, Garrett Schrader does a great job throwing back shoulder, utilizing that, going downfield. It kind of reminds me of the Steve Ishmael. You just throw it in their zone, and they're going to come down with it. It doesn't need to be a 80, 90-yard touchdown every time, but if you're getting 20, 30-yard chunk plays, then you can hand it off using that tempo, going to LaQuint Allen. Some of these guys, Donovan Brown, getting the short underneath routes. And you got to use all your assets in this offense. You can't just rely on one guy. And I feel like it's fallen on Schrader too many times. And for him to use the accountability of, I got to use my feet and do more myself, he can only do so much. And when teams lock you in and they say, we got to shut down number 6, we'll shut down the offense, that's what they can do. But you got to just be able to realize, hey, I got this, 6'5", 6'6" receivers that I can use as a deep threat. I got a beast running back, LaQuint Allen, who's going to always fall forward, get me 3 to 4 yards if the line is upholding. And then also it starts up front. These guys got to open up just somewhat of a gap, and LaQuint will find it. And then Schrader does need to use his feet when he's outside of the pocket. And it's shown to be dangerous in the first 4 games, and I think he's gotten away from that. But he's also had a lot of hits on him that have probably added up. He's looking good. He's still the same guy, and he's just got to be able to use those feet to open up the arm and the downfield passing as well.
Eric Dungey with us here. We're getting you ready for Cuse Boston College on Friday night. Eric, of course, will be with me on the postgame show as per always. After that, we'll have our full pregame coverage in the lead up to kickoff as we do as well. You know what, Garrett, he hinted, I don't know what the right thing is to say here, that they got a couple of wrinkles up their sleeve, maybe a little something new to break out early on offense this week to show BC something they haven't seen before. What types of things do you see, Eric, schematically here, 9 games in? You always talk about breaking tendencies. Like, what can they do here, early in this game to break a tendency and show BC something, a little bit new at this point?
I mean, I don't know, maybe a little quarterback throwback. I mean, Schrader did come from, a receiving background, so utilizing him maybe in the pass game with Dan Villari, who came from a quarterback background and is now vice versa. So use it like yin and yang there. There's a lot of things you can do in this offense, and that's the fun thing about it, is these up-tempo offenses, but you have to sustain drives. As we're going 3 and out, the defense isn't getting tired, but they're going to remain disciplined. But it's when you're on play 6, play 7, play 8 that you can throw in these wrinkles when they're getting a little winded, they're getting a little tired, their assignment is a little foggy, and you're able to slip, whether it be Schrader out the back door and get a big pass play, or one of the other wrinkles that they may have up their sleeve. Again, we used to always put in trick plays. They would just let us draw them up, and that's the fun thing about this, is you create a tendency to break a tendency, and we've created a tendency, all right. So now it's time to go break it, and I think maybe they're saving all the bullets for this past for the last 4 games, and we still have a lot of potential here in the season. I mean, 8-4 is definitely in the light at the end of the tunnel, and there's a lot of things that could go right. I know the past 4 weeks, a lot of the things have gone wrong, but there's no one to say that we can't flip the switch here and finish out the season really strong.
How important, Erica, to you in this game is literally the first offensive drive? Because, man, the first drives this year have, even in the games where they were doing well early in the season, they didn't get a lot going on the first drive. But we look at the last few games, like the first drive last week was just like, what just happened with lost yardage, grounding, penalties? Like how important is literally the first play of the game just to so the guys know, okay, it's not what we did last week. It is something positive.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily the first play, but definitely the first possession. You want to have a positive possession. I think a win would just be getting, that first down. I think that was always the toughest thing. Once you get that first down, things become a little easier. Things become a little more smooth. You're able to open up the offense and go from there. But if you're struggling, you're trying to just get to, out of 3rd and long, then it's going to be a long day. So I think it goes a lot. It will go a lot further if these guys are able to to get these sustained drives going, and open up that first possession and, just get across midfield, maybe get into field goal range. Obviously, it'd be great if we could just go that first play and score, whether it be a 75, 80-yard touchdown. But if we're able to go out and, kind of impose our will and let Boston College know, hey, we're going to dominate up front. You better be ready to cover our receivers. And guess what? You better have a spy on Schrader because he's going to use his legs. And if you're going to stop him, then guess what? We're going to just hand it off to LaQuinn Allen, and good luck trying to stop him as well. So a lot of things that could go right here. Again, I know last week it was a little bit of a frustration from our side, from the fan side, obviously from the players and the coaches, and just kind of upstate as a whole. But hey, the grass is always greener. We just got to water that garden and let it grow. And sometimes you need to have that big kumbaya, as Babers always says, and just, this is what's going wrong. Let's fix it, right the ship, and let's start winning some games here.
Eric, you have not been shy over the years about your dislike of Boston College, but
No.
It's just fun. You get a rivalry game. You don't like the other guys. That's the whole point of having a rivalry game. And we had Terry Lockett on yesterday, and I asked him, all right, what kind of game is this going to be? And it was like a one-word answer. He said, it's going to be violent. I'm like, oh, okay. Let's go. What is this BC game like to play in, Eric?
Physical. It is very physical, regardless of who you're playing. I don't really know where it started. I know we were rivals, and then, there was some stuff that occurred that, kind of deepened that dislike, I guess you could call it, toward Boston College. But they're always fun to go against, and it's always fun when you have a little extra motivation, and Syracuse has got plenty of that this week. So again, I'm excited for them to really come out, and I think they're gonna go swinging at the fences, and I think defensively they're gonna be hitting like no tomorrow. So Syracuse, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier with Boston College's color analyst and Scott Mutrin, and I wonder, Eric, when a team did something that you didn't like it, like the year before, how much did you carry that into the next year? Because I think back to last year, after the game, Syracuse won out there, they tried to plant the flag in the field. Like, do you feel that, is that a conversation point in the BC locker room this week? Do you think, or is it just years of not liking each other, and you don't need to harp on a single thing like that?
Again, I think coaches are going to find any way to motivate their players, but that's a great one, even if it's just as fresh as that as planting the flag. So they're going to say, don't let them disrespect you, and no man wants to be disrespected, and especially at your home field for Syracuse here, and Boston College is going to come in, and they're going to have some of their own feelings as well. So it will be a violent, as he said, and physical game. I expect some big hits, and I'm sure there'll be a scrum or two here and there. But it'll be fun. It'll be a good Friday night football watch.
Yeah, violent. It paints an evocative picture of what we're going to see on Friday night. BC physical running attack and the whole thing. When you look at BC, Eric, you look at Thomas Castellanos, and man, he's running all over the place. He's doing all sorts of stuff. He's been a fun watch here for BC. What do you see when you look at this guy, and how tough is that going to be for the Orange defense to contain on Friday?
Kind of reminds me like a little Kyler Murray. I mean, he's just quick. He's just able to make those plays. I mean, you said it best. It looks like he's running and fast forward. But that can be pretty detrimental too. He's ball security when he's running out of the pocket. We always say you got to be a two-handed monster, as in two hands on the ball. He sometimes gets loose with that. So if Syracuse is able to just get behind him, trip him up, hit that arm, it could cause for some turnovers here. And Syracuse defensively, they got to get back on that turnover train, because when we're really operating at the highest level, it's when we're in the plus margin for the turnovers. And I think Syracuse defensively, like I said, they got a lot of fuel and fire, and they're ready to just unload the clip. And I think Boston College is going to be in the sights for this week.
Yeah, that is the hope here this week. And lastly, I'll ask you this, Eric. 4-game losing streak coming in. You know how it is. Like, when these things fall out of control, it's hard to get back on track. So how important is this week? Like, you look at all these 4 games, they're all winnable, they're all losable, they're all fair fights down the stretch. How important is this week specifically, so it's not like, oh my goodness, here we go again?
Yeah, I mean, 4-0, 0-4, it doesn't matter for a team. I mean, outside perspective, we see it from a bigger picture, but as a team and as a player, as coaches, all you got to worry about is that week. So right now, they're just worried about going 1-0. That's the best mentality to ever have, regardless of what happened the week prior, whether it was a great win or a bad loss. You just got to go 1-0, continue to work, and see the plan ahead, and execute. And that's really what's going to come down to, is executing the game plan and going forward from there.
All right, Eric. Good stuff as always, my friend. We'll talk after the game on Friday, okay?
All righty. Thanks, Brian.
All right, Eric Dungey. He'll be back here 11-ish. We'll see. 7:30 kick Friday night. 11-ish is our projection for post-game start time on Friday. We'll have Dino's full post-game press conference live, qsportstalk.com, here on ESPN Radio, and phone lines open for your calls on Friday for sure. With that, we'll take a break here on this hour, brought to you by Best Buy Auto Sales. The little 411 in the 315. That is next, right after this, here on qsportstalk.com and ESPN Radio.